Shalom. This is Eliyahu Mitraf. I'm going to be speaking on Parsha Bereishis. The first pasuk in Parsha Bereishis says like this: Bereishis bar Elohim as a shemayim v'sa'aretz. In the beginning, Hashem created the heavens and the earth. Now Rashi brings down a very interesting midrash that seems a little bit, I wouldn't say inappropriate, but could have said more. It appears that it's a little bit underkill, I would call it, underkill. For Parsha Bereishis, we're going to speak about, let's see what the Midrash says. It says like this. Amar Rav Yitzchak, Lo haya tzarich la'atchil ha'Torah, ele mehachodesh la'azeh lechem. Really, we could have started the entire Torah, not with the Bereishis that Hashem created the world. We could have started the entire Torah with the first mitzvah. That's what shaykh to us. The first mitzvah, shehi mitzvah rishona shenitztav ba'al Yisrael, which is a chodesh lechem. You should have started with the first mitzvah, which is to fix the chodeshim, machadesh chodeshim to how do you say them? Machadesh chodeshim. That you have to know exactly when Rosh Chodesh is in order all the holidays should go according to Rosh Chodesh. That's the first mitzvah, and that's the first mitzvah. Why didn't the Torah start with the first mitzvah? So why did the Torah start with Bereishis that Hashem created the world? This is a pasuk in Tehillim because Hashem wanted to make known to the Jewish people His koach. And if it would occur that the people of the world that want to say that you're thieves for stealing Eretz Yisrael, Shivas Agoyim, when you took the land away from the seven nations, and they could say back to them, listen, the whole world belongs to Hashem. And He gives the land to the one who thinks that is yashar, that's straight. He's the one who decides who the land goes to. At the beginning, He gave it to them. And in the end, He took it away from them and He gave it to us. Hashem is the Baal Davar. Hashem's the master of the universe. He's the one who decides who the land goes to. And that's how Rashi opens up the opening move of Rashi. Wants to explain that we really, according to this midrash, is very interesting. According to this midrash, it appears we didn't need the Parsha Bereishis. We didn't need to know that Hashem created the world. We could have just started, listen, Hashem says, everybody knows He's a master of the universe. Everybody understands He's a creator. And He could have just said, listen, this is the mitzvah. This is the first mitzvah. Why do we have to go through the whole story of Bereishis? Why, not only the first pasuk. If you look at the Rambam says it's even further than that. We'll see in a minute. But why do we have to start with Bereishis? So the Rambam has a kash on that. Unbelievable. He says, wait a second. What do you mean? Of course we needed to start with Bereishis. He says, let me see what the Rambam says. Give me a second. Hold on. I have a question on this. We needed to start the Torah by telling us that Hashem created the world. Why? This is the foundation of a person's belief. How can you, if you don't tell me there's a Hashem, so what are you going to believe? He wants to bring like Greek philosophy. And if you would believe it, the world is created from the very beginning. There was no beginning, middle, or end. The world was always here. Who cover beaker? He's a person who completely denies God. The Torah, he has no Torah at all. So what is this midrash saying? This midrash is saying that if we didn't know, no, the kash is on the midrash. Adarabah. The kash is the midrash seems to be saying that we needed to teach it. We could have started with the first mitzvah. Comes along the Ramban and says, "What are you talking about? I don't understand the midrash." Of course, we need to know there's a master of the universe. If we don't know there's a master of the universe, there's no Torah at all. Is a kofar beaker. What do you believe in? You have to believe in something. Of course, you have to know that Hashem created the world. Unbelievable kasha on the midrash. So, what does the Rambam want to answer? He wants to answer. Let's see it here. Hold on a second. A tshuva. Parsha Bereishis sod amok. Really, this whole idea of Parsha Bereishis, Hashem created the world, is a tremendous secret. Very, very deep. So we can't understand it from the Pesukim. We can't understand, we have Pesukim. But it takes a lot of work to understand how Hashem created the world, who's Hashem. These are very deep things. And you won't be able to know it clearly. You have to go into the details for Moshe Rabbeinu. It's not going to help just to tell you Hashem created the world and now you know there's Hashem. No. And not only that, you have to hide it. Okay, that's a side point. Therefore, you didn't need to teach except for what Rav Yitzchak said. But look what he says. He goes even further. Not only that, what does it mean you didn't need to teach Parsha Bereishis? You didn't need to teach the whole story about Adam and Chava, because that also is really very deep things that we can't understand. And the Garden of Eden and about the Garden of Eden. You didn't have to know about the flood, the dispersion. All you needed to know, you could have learned everything from the 10 Commandments. Hashem created the heaven and the earth. See it a second. Let me check it out. 1 second. Hear what it says here. Let's read the pasuk here. Now you could have learned, you didn't need all these other details. So at the end of the day, you didn't need this whole story because the whole thing is very, very deep. So why, if that's true, if the whole thing is very, very deep and you can't learn from the Pesukim, so why did Hashem teach the whole Sefer Bereishis? So he wants to say like this. It's unbelievable. And he wants to explain the Midrash. That's what the Midrash says. The Rav Yitzchak gave a reason for it. The reason is because Hashem wanted to, that God wanted the Jewish people to know that, listen, I'm the boss, and I'm the one who gives the land and takes the land away. And that's what the whole Sefer Bereishis is actually talking about. Look at this, beautiful what he says. He says like this. We started out in Gan Eden. And then from the sin of Gan Eden, what happened? Adam Rishon sinned. Hashem took away Gan Eden from him. Okay, so he went out of Gan Eden. Then what happened? Okay, there was one righteous person, Noach. And Noach, he kept Noach. And the rest of the world, he took away from the rest of the people. He took that away from them. And then after that, they were scattered. You have Dora Flaga, Dora Mabul. That was Dora Mabul. Then you had Dora Flaga. Hashem scattered the people over the world. He took the world away from them. He put them in different places. He put them in the gullahs. And at the end of the day, those that rebelled against him, they lost. And those who served him inherited it. I want to see that inside. Hold on a second. What he says here. At the end of the day, this is a beautiful thing. He says like this. He says, what is this Midrash telling us? This Midrash is telling us that who is Zoche, who gets the land, who gets to be here, who gets to stay in his place and build up his place. That's the person who serves Hashem. If you serve Hashem, you get. If you don't serve Hashem and you go on your own way and you do your own thing, you lose. And that's what the Midrash wants to come to tell us. I wanted to add on to this Rav Yerucham. And that's why also Hashem didn't need to teach us the whole Parsha Bereishis because we can understand Bereishis. He needed it. In other words, we understand the Midrash. Actually, we understand the Midrash. Why? Because the Midrash is telling us the only reason why he taught us Parsha Bereishis was to tell us this fact. This is the fact that Hashem is the master of the universe and Enoch. You don't know the depths of that, but you know one thing. You know that if you follow God's ways, then you keep the land. If you don't follow God's ways, you lose the land. And that's the whole story in the Parsha Bereishis. Up to the door of Flaga. So the Rav Yerucham, he wants to add a little meat onto this. He does it. He actually brings it on. Also, he adds a little meat. This is a beautiful thing. When a person starts to read the Torah, even a pasuk rishon with the first pasuk, Bereishis bara, he sees that Hashem created the world. He learns one thing. He learns something. He sees the world is not hefker. The world, there's a master. It makes a revolution in his mind. That it should change him for all the rest of his days of his life. There's a master of the universe. There's someone controlling everything. Everything is organized. Everything is a mishtar. It's controlled. Everything works according to laws, Hashem's laws. Ve'ein davar yoter v'notzem ve'ein dalul ve'ein pazur. It's not hefker. It's not just it's not a crazy world. It's very interesting. I had a question. If it's really true that Hashem is running the world and the world is totally organized and everything that happens is min shemayim and everything is perfect, so why is it that if you look at nature, you see that nature is a balagan? When a person goes into nature, somehow he feels very relaxed. A person goes out into the fields, he goes into the mountains, he feels very relaxed. Why should he feel very relaxed? If that was his living room, he wouldn't feel relaxed. Look at the balagan. Look at the trees. The trees pointing that way, and this grass is going that way, and there's dirt and there's mud. All the rocks are not organized. Where do you see organization in nature? The answer is when you go into nature, you see there's a higher organization. You understand that even though it looks like a balagan, but you somehow feel that higher level of organization. You understand there's a master of the universe. Also, that's what the Torah is telling us. That when you see that the Parsha Bereishis, there's a manhig, there's someone controlling the world, even though it looks like a balagan to us, but there's a higher order to things. And look what he says like this. And this is what Rav Yitzchak in the Midrash was trying to teach us. Why did the Torah begin with the first mitzvah and wanted to machadish something about Bereishis? He wanted to tell us, the Torah wanted to tell us, listen, the world belongs to God. There's a master, there's a person controlling. And he's the purpose of the world. And we're his creation. And he says over there, look in the Rambam. I'm going to look over there at the Sofos Parshas Bo. In a second, we'll see in a minute. And it comes out from this. The shorish of Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel, and the Jewish people are one. There's not a thing of people overtaking and kovishing land. No. There's Hashem, there's the decree of God. There are no thieves here. Because he's the master of the universe, and he's the one who gives the land to who thinks deserve it throughout all the generations. But it's Einochinami. We learned earlier, it's all depending on our avodah. That's what the Rambam said earlier. He said, we inherit the land based on our avodah. What happened? We lost the land. We stopped serving a God, and God's put us in the gullus. Now God's bringing us back. God's the one who controls. He takes it away from one person and gives it to another set of people. And that is what the Midrash is coming to tell us. And that is very interesting. And that's when it says, Bereishis bar Elokim, Hashem created the world. It's to tell us that fact. So now what does that mean? It's not to tell us, it's to tell us the fact there's a Kadosh Baruch Hu, like the Rambam says. You have to know there's a Kadosh Baruch Hu. But it's not coming to explain to you who a Kadosh Baruch Hu is. The whole beginning of Sefer Bereishis, according to this Midrash, is coming to tell you one thing. Hashem is the boss. Hashem's in control. And I just want to bring you this Rambam that he brings down here at the end of the Parshas Bo. This is mind-blowing. I would be scared to say such a thing, but this is the Rambam. So he said it, and I can say what he said. He said like this. This is crazy. He says, Hashem has no desire for man except for the fact that he should serve him. And he should acknowledge that God created him. God doesn't care about us in a certain sense. But God only cares about one thing, that we acknowledge him. Imagine I'm a kid, he doesn't know, and you come and he says, who are you? Who are you? What do you mean? I'm your father. Who are you? I'm your father. That's what Hashem wants. And he says that's the purpose of the synagogue, the Beit Knesset, that we should go together and we should publicize together that we are his creations. That's our purpose of life. That's the goal. That's the whole thing. The whole thing, the Jews should come back to Eretz Yisrael, and they should serve Hashem, and they should bring God into the world, and they should acknowledge, yes, there's a creator. So what's the nafkamina in our own lives? The nafkamina is, the practical difference is, when we see things are not going our way, we have to ask ourselves, well, why not? Why this guy has, why that guy doesn't have? This is the question of being ripped off, right? They're going to say, you guys ripped us off. And then we're going to say, there's no such thing as a rip-off. The point is, there's no such thing as a rip-off. Hashem is the master of the universe. So if a person doesn't have what he wants, what he thinks he deserves, He has to reevaluate. Let's do a cheshbon nefesh. Why don't I have what I think I should have? Well, the answer to that question is check it out. You have to go check out. How's your avodas Hashem? Person is missing money. He doesn't have money. Well, how's your Shabbos going? Are you keeping Shabbos? Chazal says a person has to have parnas. He should check out his Shabbos. Chazal also says if you don't have money, check out how sneeze you are. Are you dressed properly? How are you going out? Is your wife's hair covered, not covered? How's your wife going out during the day? What's going on? Because everything is dependent on avodas Hashem. Everything is dependent on how you serve God. Everything is fair and square. You can't complain. You can't kvetch. All you could do is look inside and ask yourself one question. How is my avodas Hashem? Am I serving God or am I not serving God? If I have parnassa problems, I better check it out. The problem is, you see people, many people, they philosophically, they believe in God. Sure, if you ask them, yeah, I'm religious. I mean, they do. But when it comes to La Maisa, well, Shabbos means what? I have a couple meals in my house and then I go out and watch TV and then I go to the beach because, it means to rest. Shabbos means to rest, right? No, that's not called Shabbos. That's not called avodas Hashem. Oh, yeah, I know you're supposed to dress sneeze, but okay, I don't cover my hair exactly. Yeah, I wear short sleeves. It's good enough. No. If you're having problems in your life, you have to do a cheshbon nefesh. You have to see. There's a disconnect. I don't know why. It's the most bizarre thing. I guess it's been happening forever. I mean, I see it in our generation. We see it. People philosophically, they agree with everything. And if you ask them 100%, if you say that you're not doing the right thing, or you say that they don't believe, they'll get very angry at you. Of course, I'm a religious Jew, but their actions are not the actions of a religious Jew. So why not? Also for the man. Person has a partner. So how's your learning? Are you have fixed times for learning? Are you learning Torah? You're learning for an hour a day? How many hours are you learning? 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, a morning seder, afternoon? How many hours have you learning? If you check out your avodas Hashem, if everything's going haywire in your house, kids going completely berserk, your wife's going berserk, your parnas is ala panim, check yourself out. How much am I learning? How much am I davening? Do I show up for the minyan? Do I go to a minyan b'klal? Do I daven or don't daven? You need maisim. Avodas Hashem means maisim. And that is what Hashem cares about. And that's unbelievable. According to this midrash, the chiddush is a chiddush nifla now. The chiddush nifla is that the whole beginning of Sefer Bereishis is just to teach us one thing, that Hashem is the manhig. Hashem is the one who controls the world. And he wants us to serve him. And that's the point. And if we serve him, then we get the blessing. The land is given to us based on our service to God. What does it mean, the land? The land means parnasa, a shalom, all the good things that you have living in the land, everything that living, if not, you get schlepped from place to place, you go into gullus. And that's what happened over and over again at the beginning of Bereishis. And that is the point, and that's why Hashem taught it to us. So we should all do a cheshbon nefesh. And understand there's no one to blame. There's nothing happening out there. There's nothing happening. If things are going wrong in your life, you have to go inside yourself. You have to ask yourself the question, where am I chasser? What can I do to improve? And if you do that, if you do improve, you're saying la maisa, actions with real true actions. You act differently, you do differently, you get up, you go to the Beit Knesset, you sit in a chair and you learn. You cover your hair and you dress physically, sneeze. If you do all those things, then all the blessings will come, because Hashem is the one who controls everything. And Hashem only cares about one thing, about your avodas Hashem. Do you acknowledge him? Do you accept him? Do you go in his ways? And if you do go in his ways, then all the blessings will come.